The world of XC can be a pretty savage one, conjuring up images of redlining heart rates, FTPs, and, well, super lightweight XC rigs, but it isn't all about that. It's not all super serious. Cross-country can open up a world of opportunities, from XC racing to absolute mile munching. All of the above can put a great big smile on your dial. I've chosen the XC bike today to teach you guys some of the ultimate XC tips. Now, whether you're an aspiring racer or just looking to munch those miles, I have got some tips and tricks for you. So let's dive on in. Getting the right tool for the job, that's where we're going to start today. Obviously I'm on my XC bike, but it doesn't need to be a full-on race sled like this, I promise. There are other options out there. Cross-country can be enjoyed by anyone on any bike. It's just a case of getting out there. However, if you are going to start taking it a little bit more seriously and start thinking of maybe the odd race or really getting like those distances in, then probably something a little bit more specific and XC orientated, if you like, is going to be beneficial. XC bikes these days, well, they're normally 29ers. However, 27.5 is still an option, especially on smaller sized bikes. Tyre width was normally between 2.1 and 2.3 inch, and you can get XC bikes in both full sus, like this one here, and in hardtail, with the latter being the cheaper option and sort of more affordable to get into racing and riding. Geometry will be a little bit more aggressive to help with things like power transfer, keeping your weight a bit more over the front. However, that is changing. Modern day bikes, well, they're becoming a little bit slacker and a little bit longer, just like every other kind of bike out there, really. Once you've made that commitment to getting a beautiful XC bike such as this one, then it's time to get it set up properly. There's no point spending all your hard-earned money on something as lovely as this, but then it ruins you after every single ride. There are a few things you can do, however. A lot of local bike shops these days do offer professional bike fits, which, if you are willing to splash the cash, are well worth the money. However, I've got some excellent tips that you can do at home to make this thing as comfy as possible. Starting with seat height, you should have it so it's a height that lets your leg fully extend but not lock out. There should be a slight bend at the knee. This obviously counts whether you have a solid seat post like mine or you run a dropper. Just make sure the dropper is fully extended. Finding a comfortable sitting position is key. Once you've got the seat height sorted, play around with the seat tilt and where it sits on the rails. This can be done in conjunction with cockpit setup to get it absolutely bob on. Trying different stack heights and stem lengths to alter how much weight is over the front end can make a huge difference in comfort, and is something that can be adapted over time once you get used to a certain riding position. For example, when you start, you may find the more aggressive riding position gives you a sore back to start with, but as you adapt and get used to it, you might find yourself wanting a longer stem or lower stack height to get more weight over the front for climbing after a while. Fitness, fitness, fitness. There's no denying that in XC, a certain level of fitness is gonna be required. And let's just face it, in life in general. And there's plain and simply one way of getting fitter, and that is putting in the miles. And what do miles mean? Miles mean smiles. If you're really looking to up your game, well, then you could start making a training plan, or even more serious, you could get a coach to do it for you. Hitting the gym, well, that'll help you get some gains even quicker. But well, let's say, if you're not looking to take it that seriously, just getting out on the bike is even more fun. Tyres on an XC bike are often a hot topic. Gone are the days of those 1.9 super skinny hard compound tyres of the 90s, and even the early thousands where they were tubed and equally narrow. Today, well, we've got a plethora of tyres to choose from. Nowadays, tyres on XC bikes are actually comparable to tyres you would have seen on trail bikes not too long ago. A typical cross-country tyre, like I said, is going to be between 2.1 and 2.3 roughly. They're going to have a tighter, faster rolling tread. The sidewalls or the tyre in general are generally going to be thinner and lighter to save weight, and actually the height of that tread as well is going to be a bit lower. So this rather conspicuous looking tyre setup that I've got here is two different tyres. On the rear I run a Vittoria Mezcal, whilst on the front a Vittoria Barzo, both in their XC casing 2.25 width. I do that because the faster rolling tyre on the rear keeps the rolling resistance low and the speeds high, whilst I do like to get a bit wild and push it, so the extra grip of the slightly knobblier tyre on the front just gives me that reassurance. Inserts, not entirely unheard of in XC racing. I don't run any to, again, keep the weight down. And should the winter come and the mud, well, inevitably come, then actually I run the same tyres on the front and I put the same on the back as well, just to get that extra grip. Tyre pressures then, well, on average, I run them in the high 20s, and that is to one, help with the rolling speed, a nice firm, fast tyre, and to help avoid any punctures, sort of impacts. We don't want that. I don't run inserts, so the higher tyres. If it does get muddy or is a particularly rocky course, I might actually go a little bit lower to help with grip, but otherwise it stays the same all year round. Lycra, love it or hate it, you can't escape it. Now, I'm not saying you just pop down the shops in your best bib shorts, but if you're going to be getting in that saddle time, then a good pair of bibs with a quality chamois will be a game changer. Equally, a close-fitting top that's not going to flap around, is breathable, and has the benefits of rear pockets for stashing things in, is also beneficial. Plus, don't forget a good helmet, something that's going to be safe to ride in and keep you well ventilated and cool throughout the day. Having said all of that, I don't want you to be put off, and there's no strict dress code here, but let's just say, racing, don the Lycra. Razzing, bring out the baggies. These XC bikes, well, they can be fickle things and their characteristics unruly. So this brings me nicely onto my next top tip, and that's practice what you preach. There's no point, again, having the ultimate XC bike that you never use, only to hop on it and it feel all alien. Riding that bike that you race or ride on a lot can be really helpful because you'll get to know, well, just what it does, its characteristics, its limitations, and actually what your limitations on it are as well. So when it comes down to, well, race day or putting in a lot of big miles, I dare say a sun up to sundown solstice ride, you know exactly what you're going to get out of your bike. Carbon. Oh, carbon too. What? Carbon as well? Becoming a bike weight obsessed weight weenie is almost inevitable in the world of XC, and my top tip here is, well, try not to be. They're bloomin' titanium. I mean, there's so many things that you can do. People will try and shave a gram off here and cut the odd ounce off here, there and everywhere on their bike, but the reality of it is there's actually, only so much you can save before you actually start compromising the bicycle. For example, if you start going super lightweight wheels and super lightweight tyres, you stand a much greater chance of getting punctures. Nobody wants a puncture, you don't finish a race or a ride, and it's just a lot of faff, so be sensible. If after all of this then you're still keen and you're looking to get into a little XC race action, well then it's got to be one of the most accessible mountain bike forms to get into racing out there. There are all types of races, from small local races up to big nationals, and normally your country's governing body will have these listed. They can list them by their difficulty and by the region they're in, so that you can choose which one you want to do. Crazy. But anyway, that's it for my top tips today. I hope these have helped and inspired you, and you can use them for your next XC adventure. But for me, it's time to do my XC adventure. Don't forget to like and subscribe the channel. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and well, I think it's time I went for an epic. I'm off. Toodles! Oh, that was pretty good.